Konnichiwa mina, boku wa Jeremy desu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. And today we are going to talk about Act 28. So technically kind of Act 2 of Sailor Moon Crystal Infinity Arc. And it is called Ripples, of course. And we are still in the Chibiusa of the book, I suppose. Now this one actually followed the manga pretty closely, comparatively. Although at the end it did continue on kind of doing that thing where it goes into the next chapter a little bit. But it ended off very, very well. So they're picking and choosing where they're doing their endings of stuff like that. So this one was all about Rei, which I believe kind of happened with R a little bit as well. Because I think it started with her up against Koan. So now she's up against Udile, Udil, whatever you want to call her. It's pronounced really weird, but that's okay. So, not as many changes, I guess. Oh yeah, just going to draw attention to the fact that I am wearing a technically girls tank top, but do I care? I don't give a shit. So, it kind of works. It's not, I don't know. Hey, if women can wear men's cuts of things, then there's no problem with guys wearing women's cuts of things. Alright? You know what I mean? So, get that out of the way right there before you all comment about it. Anyway, whatever. Okay, so really the first change I noticed was the fact that Kaori Knight was in a lab coat when Hotaru came back into the laboratory, rather than in the manga she's wearing a kind of a red dress, sort of a thingy-majigger. Let me see if I could find the picture here. I have it. Has it. She's kind of wearing this weird little thing here, as you can see, but in Sailor Moon Crystal she's wearing a lab coat, so totally fine. And they're kind of throwing it back to the original anime. Like I said, they seem to be doing that. They're like going back and forth, kind of a middle ground of them, which is really good, and it's nice to see that, and I appreciate that, as I'm sure other people do as well. So it's just the little things sometimes that can really make things great and brings the nostalgia back. Now, this time around, compared again to the original series, Professor Tomoe is much more controlled, much calmer, almost to the point of being boring, but it actually makes him almost creepier than he was in the original one, because in the original one he's just downright freaking batshit crazy, as you could tell, with the like insane laughter and the creepy eyes and all that stuff. And when he's down in the lab, and we see him more doing that in the original series than in this one. In this one he's more interacting with Hotaru and the others, and this kind of has more of a creepy serial killer type feel to it, rather than the just insane kind of nutty weirdo guy in the lab coat. So like I said, it is kind of creepier. Hotaru's amulet is gorgeous. Actually, they're using the effects so much better now than they did in the original series. Gone are the 3D effects of the transformations, which is great, and they're using them effectively now, such as Hotaru's crystal, which is beautiful. It's right on point. Same as the fountain, which, by the way, they don't realize it yet, but the water fountain belongs to me, the one that Kaori Knight is in front of. I told you I'd say something like that. And when she's seeing where the talismans are, again, they've got that effect, and it's really, really well done, and I'm very, very impressed with the animation in that. So basically I always write down notes, and the effects are much better utilized with the 3D and special effects and so on and so on. There are, even before we get to the fountain part, which I already discussed anyway, so whatever. I'm not doing it in order, what can I say? So, in the manga part, Usagi kind of gives Chibiusa a little bit of shit for mentioning so brazenly their identities as Sailor Moon and Sailor Chibi-Moon in front of Hotaru. And I mean, she did that a little bit in the last episode, but she also does it again in the control room, but she doesn't do it this time. She just kind of wanders over to Chibiusa and is very motherly, which is really good. But they're really playing up the Yuri undertones of Hotaru and Chibiusa. Whereas before Chibiusa seemed to feel more of a friendship for her, it almost seems like a very loving more friendship, almost like Haruka and Michiru, but not quite that point. Michiru and Haruka are much more lovey than they were in the original series. It was much more toned down originally with when Megumi Ogata was in the role. And oh my gosh, I can't think of the actress who played Neptune. I know one of you will tell me, so that's totally fine. Thank you in advance. Just a brain fart. But and I mean, that worked really well for the original series, the ambiguity of it, and now they're kind of really right in your face, which also works really well with Sailor Moon Crystal, and the fact that they have Haruka playing up the masculine role is very, like, she was kind of ambiguously in the original series, but now it's like right in your face of that, and she takes on the figure of a male. She has the open shirt, just like in the manga here. It's kind of a flat chest, whereas when she's a Sailor Senshi, you see she's got the breast there, just like the Sailor Starlights kind of do. So it's a really neat dynamic between the two series, and of course the manga. I mean, it all fits in very, very well together. Usagi seems to be the only one that actually correlates the fact that Michiru and Haruka are Sailor Uranus and are Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus, whereas the others are just looking at them as being, you know, some possible enemy that they have to watch out for, just because it's the unknown, right? So even though they really play up the premonitions of Mamoru, Kaori Knight, Rei, and Michiru, Usagi has her own, but hers is a different way. She understands the friendship there. It's the friendship kind of correlation of it, and I think that's really important. I love the fact that they also are made mention, and they must have done something to put this all together, but it's Rei's birthday, April 17th. The episode came out on April 18th, but it's perfect. It's so close. I mean, they had to have taken this into consideration. They're doing a lot of things like that, little gifts to the fans, like the special events that they had on Haruka's birthday and Michiru's birthday, and now Rei's birthday with the, well, sort of. And I love the fact that they are connecting Rei, Kaori Knight, and Michiru with their premonitory things. It's just like the musical that they did, and I would have loved to see something like that, but now they're throwing Mamoru into the mix too, which is good. The cake that Makoto makes is exactly the same, pretty much, as the one that she makes in the manga too. And where is it here? Everything else, pretty much leading up to the point where they get to the mountain, is exactly the same, basically, like exactly the same. And where is it here? Where's the cake? There's the cake. It seriously, if you go back and you look at the cake here. It focuses, see? It's exactly the same, which is wonderful. Again, little details. I love it. What can I say? I love it. I'm a stickler for tradition. Not really, but you know what I mean. So, now, this is kind of a weird, glaring thing. Rei's big claim to fame was the fact that she didn't have to take exams and stuff like that in her private girls' school because she just automatically has a placement. Well, when they're going through their presents, Ami talks about the book that she has, and she's like, don't worry, you'll do good on your exams. Well, all of a sudden, she's got to do these exams, too. So, just another little thing. It's just weird, but okay. It leads me to wonder about the Rei and Minako's girls' school battle. I'm not sure if it's going to actually be animated or not, because it kind of... I don't know. We'll see. I still think that the 13 episodes that we're seeing are just going to be the basic chapters here, but lengthened, and they've already been doing kind of things like that, obviously, with the part 1, part 2 in the very first episode. Or first chapter, I should say. So, I love the partnership between Rei and Makoto. I love the fact that they do that, because usually, traditionally in the original series, usually they were paired up like Ami and Rei, and Makoto Minako. I mean, Jupiter and Venus were always really, really good friends and stuff. And they didn't deviate too much from it, but now, like, having Rei and Makoto in that really, really works to their strengths. I mean, Fire and Lightning, great. The most powerful ones, basically, of the 4 Inner Senshi, and that's really good. And of course, Makoto stepping up when Haruka wants to try or be her partner or up against her in judo, and the fact that she loses and thinks that she's, you know, the other girls are like, oh, well, you shouldn't have done that because you're a guy, and blah, blah, blah. And Haruka's like, well, come on, like, why are you making this point? Do you really think that girls are weaker? Like, it's a really good lesson that they have there. Haruka, of course, pretending to be a guy. I mean, she's putting this stuff out there, and it's a really good lesson that there really is no difference between the sexes in terms of strength or whatnot. It's all how you are. I mean, traditionally, physically, men have, like, bigger upper bodies, usually, but not always. I mean, there's, especially at the gym I go to, there's, one of the owners is this lady who's huge. She could take me out immediately, I'm sure. I mean, most people could. But, it's you know, it's good to see that they're cutting down these walls and stuff like that. So the transformations, of course, Mars and Jupiter doing their transformations, really good to see. And now, another thing that's a little strange is when Mars throws Snake Fire in the manga, all of a sudden Eugil transforms into this, what I liken as a Medusa slash Morgana, like the first demon that Sailor Moon fought, creature, but all of a sudden in the series Sailor Moon Crystal she doesn't. She stays as Eugil. So that's kind of another change there, but I guess they probably did that just for ease sake, or just because probably less animation you have to worry about changing things. And the others don't transform, like Mercury, Moon, and Venus just show up, I guess just to save time in the episode again. But they have to have the transformations in there, and they're doing it like they did with the original series because people wanted that, I guess, at least some of the transformations back. That was a big thing in the original series, so they're using that effectively again. They're not throwing it too much. It works with what they're doing so far. So Mercury comes in and uses Aqua Mist, which she doesn't in the manga, which is totally fine. And then Sailor Moon jumps in and uses Moon Spiral Heart Attack, again asking for Queen Serenity's help. She doesn't do that in the manga here. I think that was a one-time thing, but, you know, stock footage. Might as well use the whole thing, right? So then they start talking about the Death Busters, and Sailor Moon goes after Sailor Uranus, who presents herself but doesn't say what her name is. And she manages to keep up to her, or at least follow her, and they meet up in private, and Sailor Uranus kisses Sailor Moon right on the lips, which is far more in your face than the original series was, and Crystal's already proven that they're willing to go that extra step, and this whole series has been so good for that, breaking the taboo walls. And, I mean, what was the first taboo that they broke? Well, Pluto decided to stop time. Did you see what I did there? I know, I'm horrible. Anyways, and of course this one actually starts into the next act, which is Act 29, which is 2 New Soldiers, Infinity 3, and that just follows what they've been doing with the series so far in terms of continuing things on. So, this one of the 3 has followed it a lot closer to the manga, but there are those little differences which make it even more interesting to watch and pick out. I mean, as a fan, I love doing that kind of stuff. And it's great so far. It's not disappointing. Like, the series continues to be on point, and I'm so happy that they're doing this. In terms of other news, I was thinking about doing this earlier, and I really should have before I started doing my video, because it looks really, really rude that I'm on my phone here. But I have this app that talks about Sailor Moon news, and I realized that I haven't really checked it too much recently. When I do my radio show on Sunday, I always look into the news and stuff, but sometimes they announce stuff on Monday that I don't see on Sunday. And I just want to check and see if they've announced anything in terms of the musicals, which I don't think they have yet. But there is supposed to be some news coming at some point. Let's see here. Oh, no, it doesn't look like they have any news yet. However, Sailor Moon Drops came out. If you guys know about that, I'm not sure. It's a new iOS and Android or Apple game. Kind of like those column games, or what's the other one? The Candy Crush one, basically. And so it's by Bandai Namco Entertainment, and it's just loading up on my phone right now. So you should check it out. It is a free game. It's a freemium game, just like South Park had talked about. So you have to pay some stuff in order to have it, of course. But for the most part, at least the first few episodes, you can kind of get through it. And it's really cute, so you can just kind of play it. So, yeah. And see what happens when you swap special pieces. So it's kind of neat. Notifications. And there's a major event alert, a challenge from the genius Ami. So kind of follows an episodic type thing. I won't go into too many details here, but okay. Close. Yeah, anyway, I'm still terrible with phones and stuff like that, so let's see. Let's go to the title screen. Turn to the title screen. Yeah, so I won't go into too many details. Anyway, check it out. It's free, like I said. So, yeah. I'm going to let it do its thing, and I'll figure out how to shut it off, because I'm not tech savvy enough to do it myself right now. So I will see you guys another time. Keep watching for my Disney videos, which are coming out, and I hope that you, or my Disney videos, my Tokyo trip videos. I just posted the Tokyo Disney ones, and more Sailor Moon news as I get it, and I can tell you guys about it. So, Jamata ne mina. We'll see you later, and just a full view of my Sailor Moon shirt. Alright, see ya.